Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. Well, I tell you what, I got in my thumbnail. I've got peace of mind, but I spelled it like piece of pie, namely, give somebody a piece of your mind. So I'll get into what I mean by that here in a little bit. Uh, it's time we start being vocal. And remember what Mr. T said, those three words, important words: money does talk. Because we got a lot of things going on around the country that people would describe as politically schizophrenic, between judges, legislatures, governors, and I'll go over some of that. And I'll tell you one thing that bothered Abigail. Uh, let's see, make sure I get this right. John Adams, his wife got really upset about a newspaper article. I say politically schizophrenic. Back in the day, they said that John Adams was, his positions on politics were hermaphroditic. And it made his wife very angry. But today I'll refer to it as politically schizophrenic. I'll get into what I mean by that in a little bit. But anyway, let me say hi, Rubber Toe, Lone Wolf, Finding Dory, The Search for Truth. Howdy, Ingrid. Hi, Robin. How are you? Donna, how are you doing? B-Dog. Hey, Damon, how are you? Daily Dose. Hi, Kim. I almost didn't go live tonight. It was kind of a flat night last night. We just had the diehards tuning in. But that's okay, as long as we get the word out. And I know what's going on with Bumble. Their automatic sync, doesn't seem to be very much in sync. So I don't know, I have to try to contact them again. They're, I think, going through a hard time. It's a shame. It's a shame. Hi, Lucy. Tyne, how are you? Henri. Haha. So I have, I guess I'll go ahead and mention this. I couldn't copy the link, but even if I could have, I don't think I'm allowed to put it in the description on YouTube. Outside links, outside the platform is discouraged. So, and I've already got one link in the description. So I can tell you all, and what I might do is put a link on my community page, if I can do it that way. Yeah, I don't know how many of you all keep an eye on my community page, but I think I'll do that, because we've got to give people a piece of our mind, not just disdain their products, like with Bud Light, Target. All that was very effective. But I think we've got to very politely drop a dime on some of these sponsors that are supporting things that we don't agree with. And I'll tell you how I do it later on in the broadcast. Always remember, that person answering the phone that you're speaking to is trying to earn a living. And a lot of people get the operator or whoever's taking down complaints or customer concerns, and they get a little rough on the poor soul that is trying to field calls and write down complaints. I always tell people, I'm not referring to you. I think you're a hardworking person and you've been very polite to me. But I think the company you work for needs to hear what I have to say. They need to do this. They need to do that. I think they never say you to the person on the phone. They're trying to earn a living. And hey, that puts them leagues ahead of some of these psychos we're dealing with every day, right? So anyway, hi, Nikki, painting and listening. Good for you, Sonny. Good for you. Yeah, I heard, B-Dog. John Solomon. That was when he was vice president. Camperman, how you doing? Yes, Nikki said, please hit the thumbs up. So, yeah, I was talking quite a bit earlier today, and I've mentioned in the past that I have I got to be careful with my voice sometimes. So I'm kind of taking it easy. I'm not being real loud and stuff. Hi, Melinda. How are you? So, hi, Debbie. Jersey Joe. Let's see. Anyway, I was looking through some of my Eastern European contacts that I'm trying to find out about this Russian general. I don't know if I put that in the title or not. I know I put Madonna infected because she's got some kind of bacterial infection, according to her publicist. And I can only imagine what that might be, or where in the heck that came from, or how many different bacterias there are. But I thought it was just localized to her face, last picture I saw. But anyway, I don't know if I put anything in there about the Russian general. There's a lot of these channels that come out with all this crazy stuff about Putin's got cancer, he's got weeks to live. Russia lost 267 tanks on a Thursday. You know, all this crazy stuff. So you don't know what to believe. So the latest one's been coming out that there's been a Russian general arrested, supposedly helped with the Wagner coup. So excuse me while I have a sip of my coffee. Maybe that'll help soothe my vocal cords. But anyway, so I haven't heard anything that from my Eastern contacts, and I have not heard anything from, by the by, from my Latin American contacts. I've got a couple of them, but one in particular I did hear from a few weeks ago, and is laying low, doing okay, but a very unnerving situation. So I haven't heard anything about any generals being snatched up or arrested, at least ways that's been made public. But anyway, but I did see a reference to NBC News. That is, they put out a statement that is going around the world. Let me read it to you. And, you know, most of the people in the chats right now are astute and keep up with things, but a lot of work too, and they can't have their ear to the ground 24/7. So, oh my goodness, here it is. Remember the video I played, and I had to play it a couple of times because it was a little hard to hear, where they were saying, we're here, no, we're here, we're queer, and we're coming for your children. And Diane says there was a casket leaving the White House. They're probably just going to put a new liner in there and bring it back, because that's where Joe goes to sleep at night. Did you hear that Joe had marks on his face? And people were asking questions about it. That's right. I think it was General Surovikin, maybe. You know, I don't believe it till I hear about it. But anyway, he's got some kind of nickname. I forgot to write it down. But anyway, Joe's got marks on his face because he's wearing a CPAP machine, they say now. Letting everybody know Joe's got to wear a CPAP machine. So here we go with this easing out of a narrative that Joe's health is going to be in decline. And I think you're going to see Gavin Newsom do some stepping up. So I don't know. We'll see what kind of game they want to play. But anyway, back to NBC. And NBC put out a statement about that very same video I showed you all. We're here, we're queer, we're coming for your children. And next time I do a picture show, I guess I'll save this post NBC put up. I guess we're on Twitter. I'm looking at says NBC News at NBC News. They say the quote, "coming for your children" chant has been used for years at Pride events, according to longtime march attendees and gay rights activists. Oh, so they've been doing that. They've been saying that for a long time, right? Just like elections get postponed during wars, right? Everybody does it. They said it's one of the many provocative expressions used to regain control of slurs against the alphabet community. So then they have below that a picture of a multicolored sign that says drag march. And then their article continues to say, quote, "we're coming for your children," unquote, chant at New York City drag march elicits outrage, but organizers say it is meant to be lighthearted and to poke fun at anti-LGBTQ sentiments. So it's just like lighthearted. They're just poking fun. And this, like I said, has attracted attention from around the world. And let me find this post. Oh, yeah, there was a strike in Russia. I need to go over that too. So this one news service that I check on said that they felt compelled to interrupt their normal coverage of the geopolitical realm because of events that are currently ongoing domestically in the United States. This is not meant as a propaganda attack or crass mockery of the plight of Americans. Rather, as a man and a Christian, I cannot tolerate the evil I see being done unto them without making an effort to combat it. So, this article by NBC and the wider sentiments it gives prominence to can only be described as demonic and a symptom of a wider sickness. Now I'm going to read it verbatim. I don't know if it's going to get me in trouble or not. Now, I'll keep going. Hi, Joy. Hi, Angel. This article by NBC, as I said, can only be described as demonic and a symptom of wider sickness. But then he goes on to say, these people are truly animals. And like all monsters, they must be exposed and defeated. Whatever our differences are on the war in Ukraine, the evils being done to the most innocent among us, children, must be answered for. So this is a plea from a Eastern news service that will never get communicated to the American people. And it goes on to give a link to a site that will give you NBC advertisers and their contact numbers. And like I said, I'll try to see if I can put that link up in my community page. And I'll also put a picture of that statement that NBC posted so prominently, support or giving the alphabet community the opportunity to say, oh, it's lighthearted. So and where you can reach out to sponsors and let them know, hey, you keep giving it. NBC needs to stop what it's doing, and from now and until they stop, I'm not buying this company's product. And remember, the person on the phone is not your enemy. That person is getting up every day, going to work, and I'm sure putting up with a lot of guff for what the company's doing. So you call the sponsors, not NBC. And well, you can call NBC, but just remember, like I said, the person on the phone is just trying to earn a living. So and practice what we're preaching, right? And that's why I said peace of mind, and spelled peace like a piece of apple pie instead of peace like a peacenik. We want to give them a piece of our mind and withhold our trade with them. And it's quoted here, it is just as important to voice your disappointment in the company than to actually boycott their products. It's just as important. Make sure these manufacturers understand that you are considering using other products that do not support ABC, NBC, and CBS. Now, the company that I would be putting a link up to is called StopMediaBiasNow.com. That's easy to remember, StopMediaBiasNow.com. And they'll provide a list of sponsors. And so, people advertising on me, I know it says brought to you by PH Iser, right? We know about them. I'm boycotting them. I've been boycotting them ever since this stuff started. So, yeah, we got to get moving on that and really, really mean what we say. And they get enough calls, they're going to put pressure on them. So, and that plays into what I was talking about, the political schizophrenia in this country between governors, judges, legislatures, and these schisms can be traced right to this alphabet movement. Very interesting. We've had governors, like, let me see, what's this one in, I believe it was Kansas. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. They're changing out in different states. There's a movement to get members of the alphabet community to go demand that their driver's licenses and their birth certificates be changed. And they're trying to make it like a trend, where people go and do this. And let me see where that one governor is. Here he is. So you got in Kansas, the Kansas Attorney General, and his name is Chris Kobach, announced that transgender people who legally change the gender on their driver's licenses or birth certificates will soon see them forcibly changed back by the state. So that's in Kansas because, they don't, most of them don't work for a living. All right. Their time is taken up protesting, applying for disability, and finding out what kind of laws they can twist. That's how their day is, except for Donald Trump repeated what my dad used to say. And I hate to repeat it, so I'll be careful. But all they do is eat, sleep, and what Trump said about Biden, eat, sleep, and the SH word with the IT on the end. That's all they do. But on top of that, they do everything else that I said. Play video games, maybe. So they run around, try to put people at the DMV or their courthouse or something in uncomfortable positions, demanding that you recognize their rights. And people go, and they just change it, but it's being recognized as a problem. Now, the schizophrenia part comes in when you have, let me see if I can find this one judge. Here we go. This is, I have to get in the article, see which state it is, but this judge held that birth certificate rule is unconstitutional. Judge holds state in contempt and liable for the entire suit. Judge says the state did not act in good faith or accordance with constitutional and statutory mandates. So, from what I can gather with the gibberish way the article is written, they don't come right out and tell you what the issue is. They got to talk in some kind of nonsense where you have to try to figure it out. Apparently, this judge feels it violates the Constitution if you don't change things to what the person identifies as, that they have a constitutional right. That's what I'm gathering from the article. So his name is Judge Michael Moses of Yellowstone County. This is in Montana. So let me see what this, I'll read you part of this article. So apparently the Attorney General's office and the legislature is trying to put a stop to this stuff. And this judge slams the Attorney General's office and puts an order forth that they got to pay the ACLU for their money that they're claiming. And I'm telling you, the ACLU needs to be looked at, as Trump says, very strongly. They used to be a force for good in many instances, but anyway, since the state of Montana and the ACLU agreed the law should be declared void, the question of changing birth certificates remains somewhat murky. And the reason they both declared that this law should be declared void because it was too vague. Not that they gave up their opinion that is wrong for people just to wander in the DMV and say, I feel like a woman now. So anyway, but this person writing the article doesn't address that. A 2022 rule the state tried to implement remains just that, a rule, and is not afforded the same weight as law. During 2023, though, Senator Carl Glimm, Republican, sponsored Senate Bill 458, which narrowly defines what a female is. Narrowly defined sex as male or female, and would not allow changes to that category under most circumstances. So many saw the move as an end-run attempt to stop the transgender residents from changing their birth certificates. So you can bet this is not the last of this in Montana. This judge's ruling, I'm sure, it's going to be appealed, and they can make the taxpayer shovel hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars to the ACLU every time they go carrying a rainbow flag into a courtroom, and you got judges agreeing with that. You know, we're going to have to address that. So Each time the state responded with a litany of legal and technical excuses, and including an appeal to the Montana Supreme Court to argue that Moses' orders had been vague, an argument the High Court rejected. So anyway, on June 1st, the ACLU attorneys argued for a second time for contempt charges to be brought for refusing to institute the 2017 process for changing birth certificates. I hope my mic didn't drop off, but so they started this stuff in 2017 of encouraging dysphoric people to go and have their driver's licenses changed. Now, so we're going to see how this pans out, but and how long we're going to hang on to these judges. And I'll probably run into another case in a moment. But so we're going to be dealing with a struggle. We know that Trump appointed 300 federal judges. That's a huge number. And they also changed the complexion of the Supreme Court with Amy Coney Barrett and Brett Kavanaugh. But Business Insider put out an article I saw today showing you that this coordinated drumbeat is not only going towards Trump and supporters of Trump, but again, we've got another attack on Samuel Alito. The wife of Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito leased a plot of land to an oil and natural gas company while the judge was weakening the powers of the Environmental Protection Agency, a report says. So it's like I was talking about last night. Keep a sharp eye on that. We're going to talk a little bit about some SCOTUS decisions that had come down. But I remind you, keep your guard up psychologically about these attacks. They're attacking Clarence Thomas, saying he went on fishing trips or whatever with a billionaire, that his wife does this and that. And now they're after Samuel Alito's wife, and they're going to keep on. And hi, Lone Wolf. How are you? Oh, hey, I just got a notice. Yeah, that is, I want to thank you, Lone Wolf, for buying me a coffee. And it's a good time for me to bring it up. This is a viewer-supported, creator-supported channel only. I get by on everybody's support in my Buy Me a Coffee link I have in the description. And Lone Wolf got me a coffee, and I do appreciate it so very much. Everybody that's helped me. Put a banner up there scrolling. Link in the description. Vanna, how are you? What about Roberts? We're most of us in this community we give John Roberts a side eye, and I think so does Donald Trump. When I play that song Nessun Dorma at the end of my broadcast sometimes, that is because that is the night he had Clarence Thomas swear in Amy Coney Barrett instead of John Roberts, who did it later on in a private ceremony. But what was televised on national TV, Trump picked Clarence Thomas to swear in Amy Coney Barrett over Roberts. So we look at him with a side eye. Hi, Marla, how are you? Thank you, Nikki. Nikki, put my link in there. Anybody who wants to help an old man out. So anyway, that's a good question. Yeah. I think a lot of people are doing things because they have to. So, Madonna intubated in ICU after being found unresponsive in New York City. So I heard that she had a bacterial infection and that she's out of ICU now and in a regular room. and nobody knows how many different infections or anyway, I don't even want to think about it. But I also think they get withdrawals if they don't get that supplemental hormone treatment, if you know what I mean. It has an A in it, and it's like a 57 Chevy. Got a lot of chrome. So they have withdrawals from that. So I don't know. I saw a video I meant to bring up the other night. DC attorneys, young DC attorneys got involved with, I'll have to bring that up. Somebody who was found expired in their apartment, and nobody got charged with anything. I found it was very weird. I'll have to make a note of that and cover that story, because it has something to do, I believe, with the A57 Chevy. So anyway, I'll get back on track in a second. So let's see who's here. Hi, Andrew. How are you doing? Anybody know Cynthia Hughes? No, I can't say that I do. Ivana says she's an Orsini. Is that Madonna or Cynthia Hughes? Hi, Gary. How are you doing? Pitchforks and torches. They're not too far away. Well, I tell you what, I got an article. I didn't know whether I should read it or not. That you reminded me of that, pitchforks and torches. This is somebody posted this on Utizzle. It's a New York Times article from 1905. Madonna Orsani. Okay. This is a New York Times article. I'll be careful how I read it. Let me go back here. 1905. And the term Negro, I think, is acceptable. We have to be careful with it. Some people are fine with terms and some people are not. So people of color and whatever. But anyway, this New York Times article, it's not me, it's them. Says Negroes lynch a Negro. Took from white officers a man who assaulted Negro girls. This was in Bainbridge, Georgia, October 8th, 1905. And the article goes on to say that a person named Seabright, a Negro ex-convict, yesterday assaulted two N girls, was taken from county officers last night by a large mob of Negroes and lynched. After he had been hanged to a tree, his body was riddled with bullets. So you don't mess with parents. That's what I'm getting at, why I'm even reading this article. That's a rare event, but it was ignited, I'll say ignited, by somebody who was doing things they shouldn't be doing to children. The first assault greatly enraged I'll say people of color who learned of it. And they joined two white officers who went in search of Seabright. While searching, the party encountered another group of armed people of color seeking Seabright to get vengeance for the second assault. So he assaulted two girls, and the local populace got very upset. When the man was captured, the people of color cried for immediate death. The officers tried to protect him, but they were heavily outnumbered, and they surrendered and went away at the command of the mob. So you never hear those kinds of stories repeated, but kind of makes you think of the Armenian fathers, who've been showing up at schools. And so, yeah, you want to get people going, you get the kids involved, and then you get people going. That's right, Nikki. Madonna's got, they said that people were going to start feigning illnesses around this time, right? And it was going to be a you-know-what-aside weekend. And they put up the number for the you-know-what-aside hotline. So anyway, I thought that was a rather interesting article from 1905. The article is dated October 8th. So October 7th was when this person did something they didn't live to regret very long. So, did you hear Joe Biden say Putin is clearly losing the war in Iraq? He's clearly losing the war in Iraq. So he makes statements like that, and he has these lines on his face they claim is from a CPAP machine, and they admit that he's using CPAP machines. So I think they're maneuvering people, Democrats in particular, to be psychologically prepared for Joe to be declared incompetent, which I think has already happened with the military. I think from his very first physical exam at Andrews Air Force Base. My personal thoughts on the matter are that's when they decided to retain Mr. T as an acting commander-in-chief. Let them have their, what's this? Who is that? Let me see here. Let's see. Rick Shelley. I'm taking your comment down, and I want you to not use those kind of words. And let me see what happens here. You'll be out for, I think, 3 minutes. And if you want to come back and you want to have a discussion, fine, but don't use foul language in my chats. Thank you, Rick. I appreciate it. See you in 3 minutes, or maybe I won't. Yeah, Donna. Well, they've been inserting them into school boards across the country, and you look at a driver's license, you don't even know what you're looking at. Oh, I guess Rick was causing more problems than that one I read. Okay, goodbye, Rick. So, get a life. Get a life. Yeah, Debbie, they are bringing in Newsom. That's been the hint for a while there. I'm going to get a wheel like Frank's got. Play music, dun, 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 dun. Man for life. That's right, Donna. You don't have to be old to use the CPAP, but they still are bringing up things about Biden's health, and that is to get people to be prepared. To be prepared. It's either going to work or it ain't. No, that's where they were saying they're trying to go from a month of Pride to a summer of Pride. So they're trying to stretch it out as long as possible. And as I have often said, there's really nothing there to be proud of. So, yeah, they're conditioning people, Lone Wolf. A debate between Newsom and Kennedy would be good, says Karen. Yeah. Well, the media is going to shape it however they're told to shape it. Because right now the saying is that there's not going to be any debates, there's not going to be any primaries. It's going to be Joe Schmo from Kokomo, Joe Biden, and they are suppressing Kennedy. So I think even if Gavin Newsom does get in the picture, they're still going to continue to suppress Kennedy. But I tell you, SCOTUS, well, I think Mike Shell, Debbie, I think Mike Shell would be a running mate to Newsom. Okay, you got to remember, Gavin Newsom is Nasty Pelosi's nephew. Okay, that's a California crime family penultimate, and Mike Shell is the Chicago crime family, but they can't hold a candle to. I mean, the Pelosi's are not only political criminals, but they go back to the old school mafia. Okay. So he's going to be leading that ticket. And Mike Shell will be probably the VP. That's right, the cat. I don't have any, thing to say, but as far as proof, but except to say, I feel that Trump is the acting commander in chief. I don't think there's anything that prohibits the military from doing that. But anyway, one of the cases that Supreme Court kicked out would have changed a lot. And that is the Missouri case that I talked about 2 or 3 months ago a number of times. I said that was, in my mind, a sleeper. And it was, been in the hopper for a long time. And they issued a decision. The Missouri case was whether or not the state's legislatures had primacy over elections. And I don't know about the finer points of this particular ruling, but the Constitution, the U.S. Constitution, clearly says that the state legislatures shall set the parameters for their elections. And I thought, well, that's a hope for people that are in states where bureaucrats change the rules, not the state legislature. I thought that would have an impact, but they struck that down. And as many of us in the chats know, the Brunson case was once again struck down. So we've got a few more cases in the hopper, and we got a lot more coming down that is going to be put in front of them. I've got a few more articles. When I get to them, I'll read them out. But right now, I'm going to talk about this business with Trump and the Jack Smith case. I got one more thing on this purple hair people eaters, or whatever. Remember that song from back in the day? Remember the one that was leading up the chant, shame, 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 after Adam Schiff got censured? Well, her name is Rosa DeLauro. And unfortunately, I'm looking at a picture of that thing. And I asking for the driver's license to figure out what I'm looking at, I bet you won't work. But she claimed that she's a Roman Catholic, and that she saying her support for abortion is consistent with the Catholic faith. And she's getting blown out of the water for that. Democratic Rep. Rosa DeLauro faced heavy criticism on social media for posting a statement claiming her Catholic faith requires her to support abortion access. And, I had to bring that up because that's beyond, beyond the beyond to even say. Well, anyway, it brings me to a story I was going to tell about Padre Pio. And you all have heard me talk of Padre Pio. He's a modern day saint. He died in the 60s. And anyway, there's a story about him where people would come from all over the world to go to confession with Padre Pio. And one story is that a woman came to him that had an abortion, and she kind of like showed up like, okay, I made my confession, now give me my absolution. Like, it's okay. You do something wrong. And this is just what this woman said. It was in quotes in that article. You go to confession. Well, that's not how it works. You do something wrong, and then you go make sure you confess, and then you skip away and everything's okay. Maybe a year or two later, you have another one, and just all you got to do is go to confession, right? Well, that didn't happen with Padre Pio. He told her to leave, and he refused to give her absolution because she had not repented, and she was not genuine in her repentance, and there was no effort of her to change. And afterwards, I forget his exact words, how he told her to leave. I know he told one sinner, not this one, but for another offense, to take your filthy soul with you. Leave and take your filthy soul with you. So you do not get automatic forgiveness just because you speak words of confession. It has to be with contrition and repentance. As Padre Pio on those two examples said, I'll tell the other story another time. But the priest walking with Padre Pio said, don't you think you were a little rough on that lady who asked for absolution? She wanted to be absolved of the sin of abortion and showed no repentance. And he said, no. He said, I don't think I was rough enough on her. He said, as far as I'm concerned, the ashes of the unborn should be thrown in their faces. For those who do not repent and commit that act, the ashes of that child should be thrown in their faces. That's what he said. And he's a saint. He's a man of God. And this movement of Jesus loves everybody, Jesus forgives everybody, they need to listen to that story from Padre Pio, because the reminder is that God is a jealous God. He's an angry God. He doesn't say, oh, come on, children. Come on, do what I say. No, he doesn't. Okay? He's justice, pure justice. And so that stories like that with Padre Pio need to be told. And the fact that Christ, when Christ comes, he's not coming to unite, he's coming to divide, and he's coming with a sword. Those are the things that need to be here discussed. But anyway, I don't know why I got going on that. The person who he told to take their filthy soul with them was a young priest who got drunk and did something very unseemly with a animal. And it took him years of repentance and contrition. And I'll tell that story some other time. Hi, Cosette. How are you? They've changed the confessional. It's not like that now. Like what, honey? The confessional, it's whatever priest you're going to is, and Padre Pio's confessional was very straightforward. You had to have contrition and you had to have repentance. Where's my comments? There we go. Yeah, I'm plucking away at this thing. Hi, Cosette. Waking Trillium, how are you doing? He had 3 of the 5 wounds of stigmata. I watched some of he had both in his hands, one on his side, and he did have some on his feet, Ivana, and they're detailed in medical reports, and Vatican investigators came to look at him in the 30s and the 40s and the 50s. So he had the wound, his feet, his side, and his hands, Ivana. Yeah. I read some of the letters from a doctor, and one doctor in particular, he just thought it was a fraud, but everybody else, hi, Pappy Chew Bears. So, let's see. I got to get her off the screen. No, next time I do a picture, I'm going to make y'all look at that thing. I had to look at it. Well, my gosh, we're up to 50 minutes already. I guess, well, before I get to Trump tapes, I'm going to say something about Trump tapes. If you listen to the tape that they put up, it's quick, but you can watch videos where the transcript is on the screen. You can read it. He says 2 times, "This is what the military gave me." Trump says that a couple of times. And that's another thing I was talking about, my plumber intel, that I felt that was another sign that Trump was actually the acting commander in chief. The papers that they're saying that he had, he said, "This is what the military gave me." Okay. And hey, they're the ones that decide. Like I said, Brennan has got what do you call it? Classified documents, because he has clearance to a certain level. He can have them physically in his possession. Trump could take a folder and shake that folder and say, "What's inside here is classified." He didn't even say what's inside. He can say, "This is classified," okay, with super secret, whatever, which is all he said in the tapes. They don't know what in the world anybody saw. And there's one staffer who has already testified under oath that they don't recall any documents being shown during that very same meeting. So, yeah, if you listen to that again and read the transcripts, you'll see what I'm saying. But Tracy Beans put out something about Durham, and she said, "Take time to really read this exemplary piece of journalism." And let me see what her points is. She's kind of cracking on Durham. The Durham investigation was nothing more than a mirage of accountability. This became even more evident when Special John Durham recently testified before the House Judiciary Committee. So I would caution you not to buy into that about John Durham, and I'll tell you why. One is that he's not the only one investigating. his investigation is part and parcel to a number of other investigations, one of whom is his son, John Durham's son, and the Inspector General, along with anything else we may not know. The second thing to keep in mind is that during John Durham's public testimony, don't forget that his first day was in private behind closed doors. The second day, he said that it is a special counsel's job and duty to evaluate what the results will be for every subpoena, every person that's taken to trial, and if it is obvious that there's not going to be a positive outcome, not to waste the time. Now, what do you mean by that? He already proved he took Michael Sussman in, and Michael Sussman was acquitted, and jurors publicly stated on the record that Sussman did break the law, but they personally did not feel it was important enough to convict him. That's a violation of the law. But it's on record that in the Magic Kingdom in Washington, D.C., the Sussman trial, there were flaws in the jury that anywhere else would not have flown. There's evidence that the person committed the crime, hands down evidence, and that the jury acted unlawfully by giving them a pass. Poroshenko, the same thing. I believe he was tried in Fairfax or Vienna, which is right next door to the Magic Kingdom. Same problems. Open and shut. Here's the proof. Broke the law. He's guilty of what he's charged with. A tainted jury let him off. So what Durham was communicating, first of all, for 30 years, Durham had never lost a case. He comes into this investigation, has hard evidence, proof of crimes, loses his first two cases ever in 30 years. Any reasonable person would say that the special counsel is wasting people's time. In other words, he's got the goods to take to a higher authority, which I am considering to be our military code of justice, okay? To say, look what happened. Our system isn't working. That's why the only way is the military. And so, no, I don't. John Durham could have a film of them doing a crime in Technicolor, and it would have been a waste of time between the judges, between the juries. He proved that there's systemic corruption in the civilian system, and he did his job. So be wary of articles like that. I'm coming up on my hour, folks. I appreciate you spending your precious time with me, and I appreciate Lone Wolf for buying me a coffee tonight, and everybody else that's helped me. I've got a link in the description if anybody wants to help me out with that. I appreciate it very much, and everybody who's tuned in tonight. So I'll be going live again. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you'll know when I go live. Okay, folks? So anyway, I'll be seeing you soon, and you all take care. This is Mountain Man, over and out.